Hey, Turning Dirt and Wrenches here, and today I want to show you what's possibly the rustiest truck that is still driving on the road. This is a 1971 Jeep J4000 Gladiator pickup truck, and as you can see, it's lived in Indiana its whole life and been exposed to a lot of road salt way before I got it, and it has gotten a little worse since I've had it, but I'm trying to minimize that. Someday I would like to restore this, but for the meantime, it's very mechanically sound, and I'm content just to use it as a truck. But let's take a look at this. It's got the nice red and blue stripes going on in the back. And I actually haven't used it a whole lot recently. I just pulled it out of the field and got it started again. It had a bad tire, as you can see, and I got that changed. So I've got the farm tank in the back. I need to get that out, and got my little gas powered air compressor. Just get reorganized here. But I always like the big Jeep on the back of the tailgate. What I'll probably end up doing is taking this bed off, because it is in very bad shape. It's hard to really see, but lots of holes. It's already got, patches welded in it, and it's pretty loose. But what I'll probably end up doing is making a wood flatbed for it. I think that would look pretty neat. And if you're wondering, this is its fuel tank right now, because the original fuel tank has a leak in it, and it's still in the truck. I need to get that out and fix that. But I've actually used that tank for years, and it's gotten the job done. I just used a dipstick to see how much fuel I got. But let's take a look inside. Pretty dirty, because like I said, it's been sitting, and the mice have been chewing on the seat, unfortunately. I hate mice. They're always tearing stuff up. But it is a 4-speed manual, and the drivetrain is completely factory. It was never swapped or messed with or anything. And I don't remember exactly which 4-speed it is, but all I know is it's a giant cast iron thing that weighs more than the motor does, because I've had all that out and gone through it. And between that and the transfer case, I know is a Dyna, and that is cast iron as well. And that whole assembly is just massive. I know it weighs more than the motor does. But let's see here. It only has 13,000 miles. Of course, who knows how many times that's rolled over. When I got it, and it had been through several owners before I ever got it, someone had just completely rewired it and messed, chopped into the wiring and everything, and they had all these little toggle switches for the wipers and lights, and there's a toggle switch right there and switches down here, and they had these massive gauges that went there, so they drilled holes in the dash, which is kind of unfortunate. And I don't really understand what the deal was with that, because the original light switch and wiper switch worked. So I actually ended up rewiring this entire truck when I rebuilt the motor. And yeah, I don't know what the idea was behind that, because all the original switches still work. I mean, the original fan switch, and this is kind of neat. It's like a push button, and that all still works just fine. That's vacuum. Got your hot or your cold. Got your 2 little foot vents. Those work just fine. That one's getting a little stiff, actually, but I don't use those too often. Let's see here. Even got the original cigarette lighter still. This truck has factory air conditioning, and it did work. It's an old system, the original system, and I just put 134A in it. But then the clutch bearing, the bearing that the clutch freewheels on when it's disengaged, went out. So I took the belt off of it, but the compressor's still fine. So it's just kind of low on the priority list. But if I get some time and some extra money, I'll change that bearing on the clutch, and then it should be good to go again. It actually worked really well. Here's your 4-speed, which basically is a 3-speed with granny low. And there's your 4-wheel drive. You have 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and 4 low on this. Oh, there's a mouse right there that didn't make it. Finally, one that's not around anymore. But let's see, we've got vent windows, got the little crank up windows. The door panels are not in the best of shape. This one's a lot worse. It's gotten wet, but it's holding up, you know, for how old it is and how abused it has been. I always, I like these rubber mats that were in here. It said Jeep on it. This is all original. But it's definitely a work truck. It's never been restored or anything, and it was used hard and put up wet its entire life. It sat in a fence row for years, and I saw it when I was growing up. And then, I don't know, it was probably 20 or something. I asked the guy if he wanted to sell it, and he said, well, I don't want to sell you a piece of junk. So he said, if it doesn't start, we might as well just tow it to the scrapyard. And I don't really agree with that, but I said we could do that. And we got it started, and it started right up when you put a battery in it. Amazed me. This is a factory 360, AMC 360. It's totally different than a Chrysler 360. And parts have been hard to find sometimes, but most of the time they're pretty readily available. It had a Motorcraft 2-barrel on it, and you can't really see it now. I just never could get it to run really nice with that, so I ended up putting a Holley 2-barrel on, and I don't remember the number, maybe 2300. I have an international grain truck with a 345 V8, and it has the same Holley 2-barrel, and I just actually went and bought one off of eBay that was identical to it because I liked how that ran and how it operated. That's why I have the manual choke lever inside, because it was a manual choke. But I really like it, and it gets about 16 miles a gallon with no overdrive, which is pretty good for something like this. And you know, got plenty of power and everything. I don't remember what this motor's factory rated for. It for some reason it sticks in my mind, maybe it was 260 horsepower, but don't quote me on that. I mean, it's got plenty of power to pull or do whatever you need to, really. There's the that big old AC compressor, but this is the bearing. Oh, actually, I might have started to take that apart. I forgot. It's sat out in the pasture for about a year because I just didn't need it. We're doing other things, but I don't like things to set. Yeah, because see right here, it won't freewheel. That bearing locked up. So need to get that pulled off. Yeah, I don't like things to set for too long, and I wanted to get it started up and get it running. Here's I've been spraying this on it. This is some really good rust inhibitor. If you live where there's salt, this stuff will you can spray it right on the rust. It kind of makes a kind of a gummy coating. I've got it all right here. But you know, it's not super greasy, but it works really well. Kind of expensive, but I mean, if you want to keep something from rusting, it's a lot cheaper than, you know, having holes in your truck like that. You know, if I could have used that on it when it was new, it might not be in this shape, but all things considered, it's not too bad. So let's see. This does have lockouts, which I love. I don't really like any other four-wheel drive system but ones with lockouts, because you don't use four-wheel drive too often. And this keeps you from wearing all that front drive shaft and U-joints and everything. And it's got drum brakes at all four corners, but they do stop it just fine. They've all been rebuilt. I always thought this was interesting. It's kind of hard to see. The U-joints are inside this big ball knuckle thing. It's completely sealed and full of grease. And you got these king pins, and actually roller bearings that those king pins bolt to. So very easy to change, you know, ball joints. The U-joints are original as far as I know. And I mean, nothing can really get in there. I guess it probably doesn't have as tight a turning radius as a newer four-wheel drive, but you know, it gets the job done. But got plenty of oil. I also have sprayed motor oil underneath vehicles too, but it doesn't seem to work as well. It comes off pretty easy. So some of this oil is leaks. The power steering is original system. I didn't rebuild that, and that started leaking. But some of it's oil I've sprayed to try to control the rust. Okay. Not really a whole lot to this. Most of it's rusted away. The back here needs some more rust preventive for sure. I'll see if I can get up there and see that transmission and transfer case. I'll crawl under here real quick. It sits up off the ground enough. I don't like super jacked up trucks personally. I like a four-wheel drive that gets the job done and is easy to get in and out of. So that's the back end. Let's see. I know it says Dana on it somewhere. But as far as what transmission it is, I do not remember. I'd have to look. But all I know is it's very, very heavy. And it weighs more than the motor, because when you try to pull it all out with an engine hoist, it always tips back. It's a full gear drive transfer case, no chain or anything. There's the J4000 four-wheel drive. So that's probably one of the rustiest vehicles that's still in driving condition. We should start it up. It doesn't have a whole lot of gas in it. I need to get the can. This might be a bit of a challenge. Let me get the bipod real quick. Well, that's not bad at all. I haven't started this for, I think, a week. Play with that manual choke a little bit. I've got just a regular truck muffler on it, nothing fancy. I like to be able to hear people while I'm riding with them. And if you don't have an overdrive and you put a loud muffler on it, if you want to go down the highway, you're going to be screaming. There's a 360 AMC. It runs pretty good. Point system. Can't beat a point system. Nice and simple. Well, thanks for watching.